The Grand Galactic Expo was a shining event, held once every 100 years. It was where the most powerful civilizations of the galaxy came together to show their greatest inventions: new warships, advanced AI, and weapons that could bend space itself. Giant alien species, floating energy beings, and ancient machine empires all gathered to witness the future of space technology. Among them was the proud and dominant Galactic Empire, rulers of over 1,000 star systems. Their ships were sleek, silent, and moved faster than light without making a sound. Everything they built looked perfect, cold, beautiful, and deadly. And then came Earth. Their ship arrived late, coughing smoke as it landed. The metal was scratched and burnt in places. The engines made a loud rumbling noise, so loud, in fact, that many alien delegates covered their ears or floated back in confusion. It didn't glide like the others. It groaned like an old machine forced to live too long. And worst of all, it smelled of fuel and hot metal, a scent most civilizations had left behind thousands of years ago. The Galactic Empire's engineers couldn't help but laugh. Their voices echoed through the halls of the expo, joined by chuckles from nearby delegations. Even the younger species, who usually respected new entries, smirked in silence. News from across the galaxy spread quickly. "Earth's prototype looks like a flying junkyard," one broadcast said. Another one joked, "A human aircraft caught fire last month with passengers still inside. Now they think they're ready for space war." Screens showed clips of a burning airplane from Earth, one that had made the news across the stars. HFY pilot had managed to save it, landing it through flames and smoke. Brave, yes, but also a symbol of Earth's chaotic technology and dangerous machines. Aliens whispered, laughed, and dismissed Earth as a backward world full of noise, fire, and accidents, but through all the noise, Earth's delegation stood calm. They were small in number, only 5 humans in neat uniforms watching quietly from the sidelines. No one knew what they were thinking. Some believed they were ashamed. Others thought they were simply clueless. But none of them noticed the look in Captain Miraloc's eyes. She had been the pilot who landed that burning plane. Her calm stare held no shame, only patience. As the day went on, more advanced ships were shown. The Galactic Empire showed a vessel that disappeared into nothing, reappearing behind the audience in a blink. Another species displayed a drone that could think like a commander and fight like 100 soldiers. Earth waited. When their turn finally came, the crowd grew restless. Some were eager to laugh again. Others just wanted the show to end. The ship they brought forward was called the EX-99 Phoenix. It didn't shine like the others. Its body was solid but rough, made for impact rather than beauty. The wings were thick, and the engines still used combustion, something that was nearly extinct in the rest of the galaxy. It looked angry. It looked like it had already been through war. As it stood under the bright lights, some thought it might fall apart. The Empire's head engineer, a tall being made of silver plates, turned to the crowd and said loudly, "Let's hope this one doesn't catch fire too." More laughter followed, but Earth's team said nothing. They only stepped aside and let the ship speak for itself. No explanations, no speeches, just quiet confidence. One alien observer, a reporter from a minor planet, noticed something strange. While everyone laughed, Earth's captain didn't seem worried. In fact, she seemed to be watching the others, not her own ship, like a hunter, studying prey. The reporter leaned forward. Something was off. Why bring such an old-looking machine to the most advanced tech show in the universe? Why risk more embarrassment? Unless the mockery was part of the plan. That night, as the expo closed for the day, whispers began to spread. Earth had asked for a private test demonstration, something special, a challenge, a real one, not just a show, but a live trial. The Empire agreed instantly, confident they'd win again. "Let the humans play," they said. "Let them feel proud before they burn again." But back in the hangar, as the X-99 was prepared, Miraloc placed her hand gently on the hull. She didn't speak to the team. She didn't need to. They all knew what this ship really was. Every bolt, every dent, every thick layer of armor had a purpose. It wasn't made to impress, it was made to survive. And just like its pilot, it had already faced fire and come back stronger. The galaxy had laughed. Now it would watch. As the second day of the Grand Galactic Expo began, crowds gathered once again to witness the latest wonders of the galaxy. Bright banners floated in the sky. Screens shimmered with alien logos, and ships from 100 worlds hovered in perfect lines. But today, curiosity buzzed in the air. The news of Earth's unexpected request for a live trial had spread like furor. No one expected the small blue planet to challenge the most advanced civilizations in open performance. Some came to watch the humans fail, others came to laugh. But a few had started to wonder if there was more to the crude, smoking ship they had seen the day before. When Earth's fighter, the EX-99 Phoenix, was rolled into the testing zone, fresh laughter broke out again. The ship looked even older in the bright morning light. Its thick metal armor was not polished like the others. Bolts and rivets were clearly visible, as if it was built in a factory instead of printed by nanobots. The engines looked like giant pipes welded together, and when it powered up, flames burst from the exhaust with a loud roar that echoed across the field. The cockpit, instead of a mind-linked neural pod, had manual controls, visible buttons, and even what looked like a steering stick. Alien commentators from the Empire mocked it openly. Did they build it in a cave? One laughed. Another zoomed in on the controls and said, they still use hands to fly? What is this, Stone Age aviation? Even the audience from less developed worlds chuckled nervously, not wanting to be seen as sympathetic to Earth. And yet, among the chaos, the human team stood calmly beside their machine. Captain Mira Locke was dressed in a simple black flight suit, helmet under her arm, eyes fixed on the testing field ahead. No fear, no smile, just quiet focus. The galactic judges, including the Empire's chief engineer, announced the test guidelines. Each prototype would complete a combat simulation involving dodging asteroid fields, energy traps, and hitting marked enemy targets placed in a virtual battle scenario. The simulation was designed to test speed, reaction, endurance, and adaptability. The Empire's own ship would go first, sleek and shining like a blade of light. It moved like a ghost, vanishing and reappearing, dodging every obstacle with perfect precision. Its AI-controlled system calculated every move instantly. When it finished, the audience clapped politely. It was impressive, yes, but expected. Perfection was boring. Then came the Phoenix. As it powered up, the ground shook slightly. Thick smoke rolled from its vents as the engines growled like a beast waking from sleep. The judges gave the signal, and Mira stepped into the cockpit, locking the hatch with a hiss. The screen above displayed her view, a storm of data, flashing lights, and basic interface lines. No mind link, no fancy neural sync. She flew it herself. The crowd held its breath, waiting for the moment it would fail. But as the Phoenix entered the simulation, something strange happened. The bulky ship moved faster than anyone expected. Its slow-looking wings sliced through asteroid debris with sharp, calculated tilts. Inside, Mira's hands moved quickly over the controls, her eyes scanning every warning light and radar ping. Where the Empire's AI used pure logic, Mira used instinct. When an energy trap activated, instead of dodging it, she used it, firing. Her boosters threw it in perfect timing, letting the energy pulse push her forward like a slingshot. Gasps filled the field. On the next stage, missiles launched from hidden turrets. The Phoenix didn't just avoid them, it tricked them. Its heat signature split using reactive panels on its wings, confusing the sensors. One missile locked onto the wrong trail and exploded harmlessly behind her. That's when the crowd realized this wasn't just a pile of metal. It was something more. What the aliens had missed in their laughter was the truth behind its design. The thick armor wasn't for looks. It was reactive plating that changed. Density under impact. The cockpit controls weren't outdated. They were linked to an adaptive AI that adjusted to human emotion and decisions in real time. And the loud engines? They weren't just noise. They were fusion core shock drives, designed in secret by Earth's best scientists, built not for stealth but for survival in the harshest environments. Each part of the ship had a reason. Every imperfection was a layer of strength. Mira Locke wasn't fighting the simulation, she was dancing with it. At one point, when a collapsing asteroid threatened to crush the ship, she rolled the Phoenix sideways through a narrow gap, scraping sparks off the edges, barely fitting through. The crowd screamed. No AI would have made that call, it would have retreated. But Mira didn't. She trusted herself and she trusted her ship. And the ship responded like it had a soul. When the simulation ended, silence fell over the field. The Phoenix landed with a heavy thud, steam rising from its body. It was scorched, dirty, and shaking slightly, but it had survived every test. The data showed that not only did it complete the course, but it did so faster than the Empire's perfect ship. No one laughed now. The Galactic Empire's chief engineer looked at the numbers again, then at the ship, and then at Mira as she stepped out of the cockpit, removing her helmet slowly. Her face was calm. Not proud, not arrogant. Just steady, like someone who had known all along. The audience watched in stunned silence. The same pilot who once landed a burning civilian plane was now the first human to outfly the galaxy's best technology. Earth's prototype wasn't pretty, but it worked. It worked because it was built for reality, not reputation. And in that moment, everyone realized Earth had not come to impress. Earth had come to prove. And it had just done that. The surprise. Success of Earth's X-99 Phoenix created a wave of quiet tension across the expo grounds. No one was laughing anymore. Whispers moved through the halls like wind. Humans had brought more than a machine. They had brought a mindset. One built not on perfection but on persistence. And when Earth's delegation stepped forward again with a new proposal, the attention turned sharp and focused. They requested a true test, a deep space rescue simulation set inside a collapsing asteroid belt that had once destroyed an entire alien research fleet. No AI support, no teleportation, and absolutely no external help. The pilot would need to fly alone into danger, reach a disabled drone ship at the center, and pull it out before the field collapsed. A race against time, gravity, and chaos. The conditions were harsh. Unstable rock formations, hidden gas clouds, gravitational surges, and constant movement. Most advanced species avoided that region completely. It wasn't a place for a show. It was a place to die. And Earth wanted to race there. The Galactic Empire accepted, confident as ever. They selected their finest pilot, Commander Varric Zarn, known across 10 systems for his sharp reflexes and neural flight connection. His ship, the Imperial Arrow, was a work of art, silent, fast, with adaptive shielding and instant reaction AI guidance. Varric entered the chamber surrounded by guards, his silver suit glowing with energy. Cameras zoomed in on his face as he gave a confident nod. The crowd cheered. Then came Captain Mira Locke. No grand entrance, no glowing armor, just a calm, steady walk toward her ship. The same battered Phoenix, repaired only slightly from its last run, waited for her at the edge of the launch field. She ran her hand across its metal body once more before stepping into the cockpit. Her black flight suit bore the logo of Earth's Space Division, faded but proud. The silence that followed was heavy. People didn't know if they were about to witness something heroic or something tragic. As the countdown began, both ships activated their engines. The Arrow rose like a shadow, smooth and precise, disappearing in a flash. The Phoenix thundered upward with heat and sound, rattling slightly as it passed through the launch gate. The screen showed the simulation field from above. Asteroids, the size of cities, floated in a violent spin, crashing into each other and breaking apart. Dust clouds hid jagged debris, while gas pockets randomly exploded without warning. Time was limited. The Empire's pilot moved like lightning, weaving through the first wave of rocks with surgical precision. His ship's AI marked paths before he reached them, and the energy shields absorbed every minor hit. The audience watched with pride. This was what they expected. Then the view switched to Mira. Her flight path wasn't clean. It was alive. She didn't follow a straight line, and her ship didn't glide like a blade. It danced through the chaos, swerving at the last second, shifting, slowing down before speeding up again. Where the arrow dodged with pre-programmed skill, the Phoenix reacted like an animal backed into a corner, every move full of tension and instinct. She clipped a rock once, hard enough to shake the cockpit, but used the rebound to spin into a narrow path that even the AI hadn't predicted. Midway into the belt, disaster struck. A surprise gas explosion near the Empire's ship blew apart a nearby rock, sending shards of metal-sized stone toward Varric. His ship spun sharply, the AI adjusting instantly, but one shard pierced the side, damaging the shield generator. Sparks flew as the ship slowed slightly. Varric's face tightened. He wasn't out, but he wasn't perfect anymore. Meanwhile, Mira flew through the same storm moments later. She didn't rely on warning systems. Her eyes caught the gas flicker a second before it blew. Instead of avoiding it, she cut her engines and let gravity drop her ship under the explosion. The Phoenix dipped, rolled, and restabilized just before, crashing into a wall of rotating stone. A close call, but intentional. The observers leaned in. Her ship was hurt too. Scratches across the hull, a sensor offline. But she was still going. And faster than before. As both ships reached the center of the asteroid field, the rescue target came into view. A small, inactive drone vessel, drifting near the gravitational heart of the collapse. It was pulling everything inward. Time was running out. The arrow arrived first. Varric activated the magnetic grip arm and began the docking sequence, but the unstable gravity made the drone spin wildly. The grip missed, again and again. The AI tried to calculate a solution, but the variables kept changing. Frustration showed on Varric's face. Then the Phoenix arrived. Mira didn't hesitate. Instead of using auto-docking, she manually extended. The hook system timed her ship's rotation with the drone's movement and caught it on the third pass. The grip locked, and she pushed full power to reverse out of the pull zone. Rocks closed in. Alarms screamed, and the drone groaned under pressure. The Phoenix began its escape with the drone dragging behind like dead weight. At the same time, the arrow finally locked on too, but it was too late. A massive rock burst from a nearby cluster and slammed into its side, tearing through the weakened shield. The ship spun out, still functional but off course and damaged. Varric shouted, but the drone release failed. His ship had to eject the rescue craft or be pulled in. The Empire's finest was forced to let go. He escaped, but without the target. The Phoenix, scratched, battered, and trailing smoke, broke through the last wall of rocks and roared out of the belt. Cheers and gasps filled the arena. She had not only survived, she had completed the mission. Earth had won the impossible challenge, not with perfect machines, not with silent speed, but with human hands, sharp eyes, and unshakable courage. As the final stretch of the rescue mission unfolded, the simulated asteroid field turned into a storm of destruction. Massive rocks collided around the two ships, sending shockwaves through space. Plasma bursts lit up the darkness like thunderclaps, each one powerful enough to melt steel. The audience leaned closer to the giant screens, barely blinking. This was no longer a race, it was survival. And in that survival, the difference between design and determination began to show. The Empire's ship, the sleek Imperial Arrow, struggled against the chaotic forces. Its smooth exterior had no grip in the turbulence. Its AI, built for logic and balance, couldn't adjust fast enough to the unpredictable surges of gravity and debris. The ship's system began flashing warnings. The pilot, Commander Varric, was trained to trust the machine, but the machine had no answer. Every move it calculated came a moment too late. A plasma burst struck the side, causing the shielding to flicker. A wave of stone fragments grazed its underbelly, leaving scars across its perfect silver armor. The arrow, for all its beauty and precision, was not built for chaos. It was built for control, and this course had none. But the Phoenix was different. Though rough and scorched, its shape cut through the madness like a survivor clawing out of a fire. Inside the cockpit, Mira Locke's face was steady, her hands gripping the manual controls with the confidence of someone who had seen worse and come back alive. Her voice was calm as she spoke to the onboard systems, not asking for help but giving commands. When a rock wall collapsed in front of her, she didn't panic. She reversed her thrust, spun the ship sideways, and let momentum carry her through a gap barely wider than the wingspan. When plasma erupted to her left, she angled the hull to take the heat on the reinforced underlayer. Every alarm was screaming, but she didn't flinch. The Empire's pilots watched in disbelief. This wasn't luck. This was experience. Real experience. The kind that no simulator could teach. Then came the worst moment. A large shard of glowing rock slammed into the Phoenix's right wing, tearing it apart and setting the engine mount ablaze. The whole ship shook, lights dimmed, and for a second the drone she had rescued threatened to slip loose. Mira quickly locked the grip again and rerouted power from the failing systems. But the burning wing was a problem. It was dragging the ship toward the gravitational core. Any pilot would have tried to stabilize. Any AI would have initiated emergency repair. But Mira did something different. She ejected it. With a fast override of the system, she blew the damaged wing loose. The explosion gave her a sudden burst of backward thrust, enough to kick the Phoenix forward and away from the pull. Smoke trailed behind as the ship burst out of the inner zone, riding the shockwave. The audience gasped. No one had ever thought to use part of a dying ship as a boost, but Mira didn't fly by instructions. She flew by instinct. Now nearing the end of the course, the Empire's ship finally gave in. Another plasma blast struck it directly. The controls flickered, and the magnetic grip holding its rescue drone cracked. The ship spun slowly, adrift, systems failing one by one. Varric shouted commands, but the AI stuttered, unable to correct itself. The ship floated helplessly as its cargo drifted away. The Empire's finest had been outflown, not by a better machine, but by a stronger mind. Mira's ship, though, damaged and smoking, surged forward with the rescue drone in tow. Every sensor on the Phoenix was blinking red. The hull temperature was rising. A piece of the nose had been torn off. But the ship kept moving, powered by raw will and backup systems that were never meant to be used for this long. With one last burst of energy from the fusion core, she cleared the final rock barrier, dragging the drone into the safe zone. The simulation ended. Alarms stopped. Silence fell over the command center. The Empire's ship was floating in place, powerless. The Phoenix landed hard, its left landing gear failing and the body resting unevenly, but it was intact. The rescue was complete. Screens across the expo lit up with the final results. Earth's ship had passed all challenges. The Empire's had failed. No one laughed. No one even spoke at first. Then the silence broke, not with laughter, but with applause. Slow, hesitant at first, then louder. Delegates from other worlds stood up. Some clapped, others simply stared, but all understood what they had just witnessed. Earth, mocked for its old engines and manual controls, had just shown the galaxy what grit really meant. Mira stepped out of her ship slowly, her black suit covered in ash, her face marked with sweat and focus. She looked up at the crowd, not to smile or wave, but to acknowledge them, as if to say, "This is what survival looks like." The message was clear. Glory was easy when everything was perfect, but grit, true grit, came when everything fell apart and you still kept going. Earth hadn't just competed, it had endured, and in a galaxy full of perfect machines, that was something no one could ignore anymore. The grand arena, once alive with laughter and mockery aimed at Earth, now stood in absolute silence. Billions across the galaxy watched the screens as Captain Mira Locke stepped down from the battered Phoenix, her suit marked by smoke and her boots hitting the deck with the weight of something far greater than just victory. Behind her, the scorched ship hissed with steam, pieces of its frame still glowing from the heat of the asteroid belt run. What had once been laughed at as a primitive combustion craft now looked like a war hero, damaged, exhausted, but still standing tall. The image of Mira standing there, silent and steady as smoke rose behind her, captured the moment in history. Within seconds, news outlets across different star systems broadcasted the scene. Headlines changed. Earth's joke of a jet becomes a legend. The Phoenix rises. Human grit defeats galactic precision. Reporters who had mocked Earth's design now spoke with admiration, their voices carrying a mix of disbelief and respect. Some tried to explain how she had done it, how she used gravity like a slingshot, how she ejected a burning wing mid-flight, how she flew by hand through a collapsing asteroid field. But the truth was deeper than technique. It was the raw courage, the never-quit spirit, the refusal to lose even when everything said she should. The Galactic Empire, once towering in confidence, found itself unusually quiet. Their representatives, once smug and dismissive, sat frozen, faces hard, jaws clenched. Commander Varric, still recovering from his failed escape and bruised ego, avoided the press. His ship, the flawless Imperial Arrow, had returned in better shape than the Phoenix, but without the rescue target. In the eyes of the galaxy, that meant it had failed. More than a mission had been lost that day. The Empire's aura of untouchable superiority had cracked, and through that crack Earth had stepped into the light, not just as a participant in the galactic future, but as a force to be taken seriously. The other alien delegations began to shift their stance. Small planets who had long stayed silent during Empire-led meetings now whispered about Earth's rise. Some approached the human delegation quietly, asking questions, offering to open trade routes, suggesting research partnerships. Earth, once alone and underestimated, now stood at the edge of influence. And Mira? She didn't ask for attention. She stood near the Phoenix, surrounded by engineers rushing in to check on her health and the ship's condition. She waved them off gently, took a deep breath and stared up at the stars beyond the glass roof of the hangar. She wasn't thinking about fame or headlines. She was thinking about Earth, about the engineers back home who had built this strange machine from broken parts and wild ideas. About the old pilots who trained her not with high-tech simulators, but with real fire and failure. About the people who once feared humanity would always be too late to matter in the stars. And now here they were. Social media exploded across planets. Artworks of Mira and the Phoenix appeared in hours. A small child on a mining colony posted a sketch of the ship, captioned, "One day I'll fly like her." Even alien civilizations that barely knew Earth's name were now learning it, repeating it, studying the footage of the mission like students chasing truth. And in the heart of the Galactic Empire, meetings were called. Officials demanded answers. How could this happen? How could Earth, of all species, defeat them on a stage they controlled? Analysts pointed to arrogance, over-reliance on AI, lack of adaptability. But one old commander said it best. We forgot the fire that lives in those who have known struggle. And Earth had known struggle. Their skies had burned. Their history was filled with wars, disasters, comebacks. They had failed often, but every time they rebuilt, and that made them dangerous in a way the Empire had never prepared for. The Empire, for all its technology, had grown too confident in clean systems and predictable outcomes. Earth, forged in chaos, had mastered survival. And now, the galaxy knew it. The expo ended, but the memory of the Phoenix's run didn't fade. Earth's delegation returned home with more than just applause. They returned with new alliances, invitations to join elite research groups, and above all, respect. Not the kind you ask for, but the kind you earn through fire. Mira was awarded Earth's highest honor upon return, but she didn't speak at the ceremony. She simply looked into the camera and said, "We're not perfect, but we're ready." It was short, simple, and enough. From that day forward, humanity was no longer seen as the odd, late arrival in the galactic scene. They were seen as a wild card, unpredictable, brave, and unbreakable. The Empire, though still powerful, had learned a hard lesson, and while they would recover, they would never again look at Earth with laughter in their eyes, because now they understood. Earth didn't bring perfection. Earth brought heart. And in the deepest parts of space where no AI could save you, that was the difference between failure and flight. Humanity had arrived, not quietly, not politely, but unmistakably, and no one would forget it, not ever.